Hi guys, welcome to video number 3 in this fat loss series. Today's video is a little bit different because I'm just going to focus on one question instead of trying to reel off a bunch of them. I want to talk about exercise and fat loss and how it kind of all fits in, because I think that there's a few misconceptions that float around and that get in our way when we're trying to lose weight. Exercise can absolutely contribute to fat loss, and it's a really great tool for contributing towards fat loss, but there are some misconceptions that get in people's way, as I say. And so I want to clear it all up today. The misconceptions I want to cover is that cardio is somehow superior to strength training for fat loss. And another big mistake that people make is adding their calories to their calorie total for the day. So, if you're aiming for like 1,700 calories to be in a gentle deficit, is then doing 200 calories worth of exercise and adding that into My Fitness Pal. And that's a really big mistake that people make, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand why. So rather than kind of trying to right off the bat answer those questions, I want to show you this little graph that I made. Hopefully you can see what's written here. Very, very high tech, as you can tell. I hope this isn't back to front. But what I want to show you with this is this is a graphic representation of what's called TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, which is the total number of calories that you burn in a day through, and it's broken up into a few different ways that you burn energy. It's not like people think of exercise as being something that burns loads and loads and loads of energy, but actually it really doesn't burn that much in the grand scheme of things. So you're in this graphic representation, right? I've got 1,000 calories here, 2,000 calories here. So this person is burning around 2,000 calories a day, right? These are all estimates for sort of an average woman. Most of you will be pretty close to these sorts of totals, but obviously it varies according to your weight, your height, your activity levels. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So what I want to show you here is this first part of this graph. You may or may not be able to see, but this is BMR, okay? This is basic metabolic rate. This is the number of calories that you burn if you do absolutely nothing. If you lie in bed for 24 hours, don't eat, don't move, all you do is just breathe, your heart pumping, your eyes blinking. This is the amount of energy that you would burn. And for most women, it's around 1,300 calories a day. Okay, it's gonna vary from person to person how much muscle mass you have. Some people have a slightly higher metabolism than others. If you're pregnant, it's gonna go up. This varies according to a number of different things that are going on in your body, but it doesn't vary massively. It will vary mostly during pregnancy and breastfeeding, but this is basically around 1,300 for most women, which is, if you just stop to think about it for a moment, that's if you do nothing, right? You haven't even gotten out of bed for 24 hours and you still need 1,200, 1,300 calories. So a lot of diets, say like the 1,200 calorie diet, is already putting you below that amount that you need just for your basic daily functions. It's just worth thinking of, and also notice how big it is compared to the other things that we have here. Okay, the second one here is TEF, or the thermic effect of food. And this is usually around 10% of our total daily energy expenditure, okay? So if it's around 2,000 calories a day, it's gonna be around 200 calories a day that you're burning through digestion, okay? So this can vary as well. If you eat more food, you're gonna burn more food from TEF. If you eat more fiber, more protein, it's harder for your body to break down. If you eat more unprocessed foods, more whole foods, it increases. It's harder for your body to break down. So there's more energy expended through TEF, right? As opposed to if you eat very processed food or just carbohydrates or simple carbohydrates, right? But again, it doesn't vary massively, maybe 50 calories more or 100 calories more maybe if you eat more protein and things like that, and unprocessed foods, but it doesn't vary massively. But this is a very small portion, but it does still contribute towards your total daily energy expenditure. Remember that TDEE. That's a really important term for you to remember here. Then this third one is NEAT. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and that's basically all the movement that you do that is not exercise. So you just walking to work, walking to your car, getting up and down out of bed, doing the dishes, like all of these things. And it's not you purposefully doing exercise in order to do exercise. It's not planned activity in that sense, but you do burn energy through that daily movement, which probably isn't a surprise to you. And in this graph, I've made it 400 calories a day, which is a fairly active person, right? But this is going to vary massively. So if you're a nurse and you have 12-hour shifts and you're on your feet all day long, then you're going to burn way more calories than somebody who sits at a computer all day. This shouldn't be a surprise to you. Most of us know this, but I think this is underrated when we think about fat loss, because I just want to put in perspective for a second, like when you're if you spend an hour cleaning your house, mopping your floor, doing the dishes, tidying things away while listening to a podcast or listening to a video like this, learning about a topic, you could easily burn 300 calories, which is more than if you go out for a fast walk, right? So you can kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone often by tidying your house and just being active in your daily life. You can increase this massively. There's a big difference between somebody who burns just 100 calories a day through NEAT and somebody who burns 700 calories a day through NEAT, because they're always moving around. So this is something that's really underutilized. You've got something like 16 hours a day to play with here. Exercise you can only dedicate so much time each week to exercise, whereas NEAT you can do a lot of this. Over the course of 16 hours each day, you can massively increase the calories burnt through just daily activities, as opposed to dedicating 2 hours to going for a run. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is something that's really underutilized by people who are trying to lose fat. Finally, at the top here, we have EAT, or exercise activity thermogenesis, which here I've put at 200 calories. Which takes this person into 2,100 calories a day, right? This is just the average for this particular person. This is the average over the week, and this is activity that is specifically exercise: going for a run, going for a walk, going to a jiu-jitsu class, lifting weights, yoga. This all counts in this. As I said before, we only have, I'm going to talk to you in a minute about how I got to this figure, because this is just an average for a specific person that might be quite typical of you guys on the CPP. But I just want to point that out again, how hard, how little that is. This is 200 calories versus this 400 calorie NEAT, which obviously could change from day to day, but this is so underutilized for people who want to lose fat. Just getting in half an hour bits of activity in your day where you're just moving around more while you're listening to something, just getting more bits of movement into your day, it really, really can build up, and it can really add to your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. So again, this person has 2,100 calories. That is their TDEE. That's an average for the week of how many calories they're burning each day. I'm going to talk about how they got to that on the other side, right? So this basically just shows everything. So what I came to here was 1,900 calories, right? BMR plus TEF, digestion, plus NEAT, right? 1,900 calories a day, right? So that's what this person has here, 1,900 calories a day. And then the orange in my highlighter is the exercise that they've done each day. So this is 30 minutes of running, which is another 300 calories. So the TDEE for the day is up here, is 2,200. Then on Monday, they do half an hour of walking, which is 150 calories. That bumps them up to 2,050 calories of TDEE. Then the third day they do I think it's 25 minutes of strength training, which adds another 150 calories. Again, bumping them just over 2,000 calories. On Wednesday, they walk for half an hour. Thursday, they don't do anything. Friday, 25 minutes of strength. So 2 short strength sessions a week here. So again, this is 2,050 calories. And then 1 hour of walking on Saturday, which is another 300 calories, 2,200 calories again, right? So the amount is different each day. And this could obviously vary again enormously. You could do a 2-hour bike ride and it would add a load more on. Your strength sessions might be 1 hour a week. You might be burning more than this, but you might be doing much less. That you might just be doing 10 minutes of core work or 10 minutes of mobility work or 10 minutes of strength work, maybe 3 times a week, and that's all you're doing. Or maybe a daily walk every day. So obviously this orange bit is very, very variable. But in this example that I gave, that might be quite typical of some of you, is it gives an average of 171 calories a day burnt through exercise. Okay, and then an average TDEE over the week of 2,071 calories. Okay, so let's just round that up. 200 calories a day on average for exercise, and a total of 2,100 calories a day of TDEE, right? Once you take into account the exercise, right? That's your average. This is the number that you start with and work out your deficit, what deficit you can maintain. So maybe you're just aiming so if you're this person, saying 2,100 calories a day, maybe you're aiming for a 200 calorie deficit. So you're aiming to eat 1,900 calories a day. Maybe you're aiming for a 300 calorie deficit. So then you would aim to eat 1,800 calories a day, right? So this is the number that you work your deficit off of, that includes the exercise that you're doing. So something to point out here is that 200 calories a day on average is not very much for exercise, right? And this person is doing some form of exercise almost every day. And this is something that might be manageable for a lot of mums, but also might be quite a lot for a lot of mums as well. So this isn't a small amount of exercise. It's certainly not an enormous amount of exercise, but it's definitely quite challenging for new mums to get this in. But it only averages out as 200 calories a day. So going back to this, right? That's where this number came from. Around 200 calories on average, this person is burning through exercise. Now, this person may not have, if they're a typical mum, they may not have more time to dedicate to exercise in their week, and this is all they've got. In which case, it's about, calories burned is about intensity and about time spent exercising. So she's got 2 options: either increase the amount of time spent exercising at the same intensity, or, and the intensity varies across the week. She's doing some strength, some running, some walking. Or you increase the intensity of those sessions. So by lifting more weight or by running instead of walking, right? But for some of us, while it might be, you gotta take this with a grain of salt, because it may or may not be possible for you with your lifestyle right now. You might not be sleeping enough be doing more intense exercise. You might not have enough time to dedicate more time to exercise each week. So this may be what all you've got to work with, is just adding 200 calories on average a day to your week. And that's where I like to point out the NEAT is, it's really underutilized. If you spend some time doing things like cleaning your house and tidying up and things like that, is absolutely adds to your total. Things that you have to do anyway, you can just do them with more vigor, or just be excited about the fact that you're doing them. But this should, a really big takeaway here is that this should be, you're figuring out your total daily energy expenditure, your TDEE, and then figuring out your calorie deficit from that. Okay, so when you're putting your totals into My Fitness Pal, you want to make sure that you're aiming for the amount of exercise that you're planning to do each week, and then the total that you're aiming for, the total calories that you're aiming to ingest, takes into account the fact that you're already doing exercise. So when you do an exercise session, don't add that into My Fitness Pal, because then it will bump up your calories and you'll eat the calories back, and then you won't lose weight and you won't understand why. And it's because of this, because people are eating back exercise calories. Don't eat back exercise calories. They're not as much as you think, unless you're doing really, even if you're doing really intense exercise. I mean, I know people who have run marathons and they can't figure out why they're not losing weight, and it's because they're adding all their calories back onto their totals, and they're eating them all back. So don't add your calories on if at the end of the day you're starving hungry, your calories are too low, including exercise, and if you're not losing weight, it's because your calories are too high. You gotta factor in the calories for the exercise over the week. Okay, so I think I've drilled. Hopefully, I've explained that well enough. Probably over-labored it, as I usually do. But one other thing I want to say before I wrap this video up is the difference between cardiovascular exercise and things like strength or core exercise, but also the different reasons why we exercise, okay? Because people tend to think of exercise as just burning calories. And especially when they're trying to lose weight, they think, right, I have to do a 45-minute HIIT session 5 times a week in order to burn off the fat. And that's not true at all. You can lose weight without doing any exercise whatsoever. And trying to burn fat or burn weight off or burn calories off is a really, really, really inefficient way of working, because you're burning so many more calories a day through other things. I mean, this person is burning 1,900 calories a day just through other things, and then just 200 calories a day through exercise is not very much in the grand scheme of things. It can help you because it gives you a little bit more wiggle room, but you just got to see it as giving you a little bit more wiggle room. It's not burning off all the fat or burning off all the weight, okay? So calorie burn is one reason to exercise, and it definitely is a reason. It really does contribute, even if it's just 100 calories, it contributes to your daily total. But the reasons why you should exercise is a very, very, very long list of other things. So first of all, how about mental health? Just doing some exercise can make you feel so much better. It can help regulate hormones. It can help regulate your blood sugar levels. It's healthy for your heart and lungs. Cardiovascular exercise in particular is healthy for your heart and lungs and all of your blood vessels. It lowers cholesterol. It lowers blood triglycerides. It can also, and if you're doing the right kind of exercise, it can also increase bone density and increase muscle mass. And by right kind of exercise, by now you should know that I'm talking about strength training. And strength training, when you're doing it properly, when you're doing resistance training, when you're lifting weights, the calorie burn is not as high as if you were doing high intensity cardiovascular exercise for that same period of time. So if I go for a walk for an hour, I'll probably burn around 300 calories an hour, 250 to 300 calories an hour. If I go for a run, I'll burn between 500 and 600 calories an hour. And if I do some form of resistance training, I'll probably burn around 200 to 400 calories an hour, right? So it is less, it's probably more than walking, but it's less than if I was doing cardiovascular exercise, but it's still significant. But the goal of strength training isn't to improve your cardiovascular fitness, and it isn't to burn calories. The goal is to increase muscle mass, increase strength, increase your joint health, your joint strength, and increase bone density. And these are all really important things for your health. And are overlooked in women's health really often, and it's recommended that all women do 2 strength training sessions a week. It will also help you look more toned. It's what creates the muscle mass that gives that toned look. Often when people don't do any strength training, they end up being kind of skinny fat, and they're unhappy with the way that looks. Finally, it really does help with with fat loss as well. And the reason why is because it increases muscle mass. Muscle mass is expensive. It burns a lot more calories at rest, and so your basic metabolic rate goes up. And then that makes it easier to create a calorie deficit over a long period of time. Also, if you're in a calorie deficit, even if it's a gentle one, and you're losing weight gradually, but you're not doing resistance training, around 30% of the weight lost is lean body mass. So it's not fat. The other 70% will be fat, and some of it's not all muscle. Some of it will be bone, some of it will be organs, some of it will be water. That's what lean body mass is. But you will lose muscle mass over time. And the only way to prevent that from happening is by doing resistance training. So it's really, really important. And just to add to that, if you lose weight over time and you also lose muscle mass over time, you are going to your metabolic rate is going to decrease. And to help that stay up by not losing muscle mass, we need to do resistance training. So there are lots and lots and lots of reasons to do resistance training other than contributing to fat loss. And it's also important to remember that all kinds of exercise are going to contribute towards fat loss in indirect ways. So often it gives us a boost of adrenaline and endorphins and dopamine, and that makes us eat more healthily or have more it can help us eat more healthily throughout the day. Most people report eating better after exercising, and having less cravings for things. So that can help you indirectly with your fat loss journey as well. It can also give you more energy, especially over time as you get fitter. And so you're more likely to burn calories through movement. And just in your daily life. And so that's going to contribute towards your fat loss. Again, over time, they're not things that you see immediately. It's not like looking at your watch, seeing 300 calories burn. It's things that add up over time, and they're accumulative and exponential over time, and really, really add to your weight loss efforts over a period of months or even years. And so it's really important to remember that, and also if you are stronger and life's easier and you have fewer aches and pains, that's also going to make you more active overall, make you burn more calories overall. So it's not just about the calories burned. There are many reasons to do exercise, and you really want to focus on the long game. You want to focus on building muscle mass, getting stronger over a number of weeks and months, and then maintaining that. which is going to make it easier and easier. It's going to improve your metabolic health over time. It's going to make it easier to regulate blood sugar levels. It's going to be easier to regulate mood. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to increase muscle mass, increase your metabolic rate. Now I'm just repeating myself, but it's really about the long game with exercise, rather than just the calories burnt in a single session. So don't add your calories into My Fitness Pal from exercise. It should already be part of your TDEE from which you worked out a calorie deficit. Don't think of exercise as burning calories. Think of it first and foremost as playing the long game, increasing muscle mass, and improving your metabolic health. And 3, what was the third point I wanted to make? Oh yeah, the third point I wanted to make is that, yes, going for a walk, going for a run, doing a strength session absolutely does bump up your calories burnt and contribute to getting in that deficit, but so does mopping your floors, so does washing your car, so does running after your kids. So don't neglect those things, because it can really make a much bigger difference than you think. And also, yeah, exercise does that too. So definitely do it for that reason, but don't overestimate it. Don't add it into My Fitness Pal. Hope you found that helpful. Any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll answer it in next Thursday's video.